Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Clock Hour. I am your host, Marv Kennel, once again. And this time around, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it again. I have a very, very, very special guest here with me today, Miss Dr. Perez.
Hey, well, thank you so much. Thank you. It's great, as I said earlier, to see you on this side.
Right.
I appreciate all that you're doing just to highlight, the ladies,
Yes.
um, the men that are coming from a very crucible place. So I thank you for sharing our stories, and I thank you for all the great work you're doing and giving me this opportunity to be on your platform. So thank you.
And I thank you because not every day as a male you work around, let's say 100, 200 women. So you learn a lot by being in that environment, how to kind of tone it down a little bit and not let emotions take you where you don't need to be. So I learned a lot working with y'all. And each and every one of y'all were different in your personalities, characteristics, and stuff like that. So I did learn a lot from being there with y'all, but I saw that you were doing a couple of things. I saw you on social media, and I saw that you're doing a couple of things. So I really wanted to know about that. That's why I didn't ask you any questions prior to, so you can tell the people and tell me what it is that you're doing.
Oh, again, thank you. Well, just to piggyback off something that you said, it's not easy being in a room full with women, okay?
Right.
All having different personalities and, especially in a place that is so dark and going through so many different things. So, but I thank you because you have always been one of those officers that stood out to me because of just your personality and the way that you treat us. You were never a person that made us feel less than um, we are. And, you always encourage us, which is so important, especially when we are going through um, just some difficult times. So I appreciate that. And, I just always want to say that, that I
Right.
really appreciate you for all that
Well,
you
you're welcome.
did.
And I thank you. I thank you because I never wanted to feel like I didn't do what I was supposed to do, So I'm glad that you noticed or whatever. And I always wanted to help anyway,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
you humanize us. You
Right.
humanize us. Things really, stood out, the holidays, made sure you spent your own money to buy seasoning to make sure we ate good. Those are things and people don't even realize
Right.
that you have officers that are really really concerned about our well-being and want to make sure you sit down with us, you eat with us, you talk with us. I mean, which officer you see take their own money and buy season or make sure you add to, that's very very rare, but that really stood out to me. And if you would ask, I think every ladies that were at the camp when I was there, which officer would they say was more personable with them and stood out because of all the great things that you did, it would definitely be you. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. My thing was, don't feed anybody anything you wouldn't eat yourself.
Mm,
And that was important to me because if I if you're cooking it and you won't eat it, why would you try to feed someone that? I didn't. I never believe. I've been in food service. I'm a Navy cook. I was a Navy cook, so I was cooking on submarines. So you cannot. I wouldn't feed anything to anybody I wouldn't eat myself. So
Wow.
that was big to me. So if you didn't belong in that kitchen, I got rid of you. I had to get rid of you because this is the morale of an institution. If you look up, what was that big prison upstate New York that had that major riot, and you look up the history of riots and what caused them. What was it? It wasn't Sing Sing, was it?
Sing Sing. Was it?
But
I think it
part of
was
their
Sing Sing.
riot was food, medication, medical, and how they were treated. So if food can cause a riot, it's important that that side of it be taken care of.
Right.
So, that was like my pet peeve. I'm like, look, you can get out. If you can't do this, bye, move. You could be mad at me, but you're talking, I'd rather have one mad at me than 150
Right.
or even
Right.
1,200. I had a situation before, and I told that my whole crew was gonna walk out. I said, look, I'd rather you, one person mad at me than 10.
Yeah.
So you gotta move out the way. But
And
so,
oftentimes you do come across folks that are indigent, so they can't afford to buy commissary, and not being home and having a healthy lifestyle because you're not eating the proper food. You want to be in a place where someone care enough to provide you those nutritional meals and to make sure that the food is tasty,
right,
well done. It's very, very important, and that does stand out, and that did stand out while I was there.
right. And that was my thing. If it wasn't anything else, that was my thing. But
Yeah.
enough about me, and I want to hear what it is that you're doing.
Wow. So I am excited about the work that I do only because it's a work that God has called me to do. One of the things when I first arrived at Danbury, he dropped in my spirit that I was not there for punishment. I was there for purpose. I didn't understand what that meant at that time because I was going through so um, much things. My son was killed prior to me entering prison, so it was very, very difficult for me. It wasn't until my last 2 years of my incarceration, that I really found out what my true purpose was, and that's when I started my ministries, which is a Beautiful Heart Ministries.
Okay.
And what we do is we provide reentry services to women and young girls that's coming home from prison. We make sure that they are equipped with everything that they need to have a successful reentry. So I left Danbury in February of 2019, and by April of 2019, my ministry was up and started, because I made sure once God showed me that was a direction that I had to go. I made sure I took the last 2 years and create everything so when I came home I can scale. And I was so thankful that I had that support system that helped me,
Right.
to get into the position that I need to, because it's so important to have a good support system. Things I have been going for 8.5 years, so a lot of things change on the outside, but God is good. God is good to me. I felt like immediately when I left Danbury and I took off those prison clothes, success met me immediately. And I know that, as
Right.
God, I will always, aggrandize him, because I know that I could not have done that without him. And we're in 2023 now, and we have made such an impact. We have served over 4,500 formerly incarcerated and 723 incarcerated women and girls.
Okay. So you're actually getting to go and speak at the institutions, or
Well, no,
you're
I have not been into the institution. The ones that I serve on the inside, we have care packages for them that we send into the prison. So the federal, we're not allowed to do that,
Right.
but with the state, we're allowed to send in care packages. So we have these beautiful pink boxes that we send into prison, and it has all the nice toiletries and things like that.
Right.
Toiletries is very, very important to me,
Yes.
you know. And that's one of the things when I was incarcerated, I dreamt about coming home and going to CVS,
Right.
Walgreens, and just getting my toiletries. So I want to make sure that these ladies have that. And so we do these nice pink boxes and we send them into the prison. And also, for those that are in Rikers Island, we order clothes by Amazon, send them into the prisons. Also, we send books, we
Okay.
send journals, and we also send Bibles. So those are that, for the 700 and so people that we serve in prison. And mostly we're doing states right now. We have not tapped into the federal. The federal,
Right.
there's a lot of restrictions in
Yeah.
that. But if we can send someone, if we have funding and we can send someone money for commissary or even money to call home and, speak with their children, we do that as well.
Okay. So you reached Connecticut yet? You're not. Where you?
Yeah,
Where are you located?
we're located in Brooklyn, but
Oh, okay.
the difference with our organization, and we don't just serve New York.
Okay.
Anyone that calls us and need help, right? As long as they're formerly incarcerated, we help them. So we have enlarged our footprints. We supply or provide services to Baltimore, DC, Washington State, Maine, Philadelphia, California.
Okay.
We're all over.
So
Why?
y'all
It's
roll.
because I understand the needs of women. I understand how difficult it may be
Right.
and how it can be when you don't have the support system. Because when I came home, I was in a halfway house and I met women that did not have a support system. And I
Right.
found out that, thank God, I had friends and I had family members that was able to say, okay, let me help where I can.
Right.
So I never want anyone to call me and I'm not able to help them. I believe that if you're in another state and you call me, that means that state is not serving you. So
Right.
I don't want to turn you away because obviously if you call me, you need something.
Right. Well, I'm gonna do my best to put you with certain people that I do know, and
Thank you.
basically broaden the spectrum of it. Sounds like y'all doing your thing. You're staying busy. I see you on social
Yeah,
media, but
yeah, I
you know,
do. And I don't only work with my organization, I also work with another organization, Dream.org, that's co-owned by Van Jones and Jessica Jackson. So I
okay,
work with them a lot, to make sure that things that need to done, if I need to go to speak at a congressional hearing, I'm there for
right,
them as well. I do a lot of work with different university as well, so in different organization. I want to be able to make a difference, right? To
right,
make sure that um, even though I can't take back the fact that I went to prison, but I wanted to be a springboard to be able to help someone else. We just recently, last year, I shouldn't say recently, we partnered with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and the Center for Court Innovation, which is now Center for Justice Innovation, to provide alternative to incarceration programs for folks that are arrested that may have a misdemeanor or low felony cases.
so you're not just. I talked to a few people with the other organization all the time, and they have an office up here, and I talked to them.
Hmm.
It's not everybody with them. I'm not sure it's women and girls with them. You're speaking more broad and with everyone.
Right, right. So even though we provide services for women and men, for women and girls,
Uh-huh.
we oftentimes, a man will reach out from us because we're in the New York connections and
Right.
it's in the prisons. So if someone will reach out to us, most of the time they either write letters or they will call us. And we can provide a service for them. We do.
Right.
And if we're not able to, we just don't leave them hanging. We just said, okay, let's see, or let's look and see if we can find organizations in the area that you're coming home to be able to help you. The objective of a Beautiful Heart Ministry is to help people that are coming home from prison to have a successful reentry. And we
Right.
know that there's barriers, employment barriers, housing barriers, there's so many. As I found out that there are 40,000 barriers for someone coming home from prison with a felony. So, if with all those barriers, we want to tap in and see how we can help you. We may not be able to help you with everything that
Right.
you're going through, but we want to help to lessen the load that you're carrying.
Miss Bryant, that was with Obama, he got her out. I spoke with her. May she rest in peace. But they didn't know anything about the housing barrier. They
No,
knew nothing about it. So when she brought it up to him, he got his people on it, but I don't know where it went now, especially in New York.
right?
All those projects out there. And then if you have a felony, you can't even get an apartment in there.
It's very, very difficult, very, very difficult. By the grace of God and my family, I was able to come home to my home. I did not lose my house,
Right.
uh, but there's so many people who came home and didn't have a place to go, and they're not supposed to be around people formerly incarcerated. So
Right.
that eliminates shelters because you're going to have folks that's going to shelter. You're going to come across someone that's been formerly incarcerated. So how do you survive? And that's why the recidivism rate is so high, not because someone actually commit another crime. It's just because of all these barriers. It makes it so difficult, so people violate,
Right.
and it's just not fair. So we kind of really look into different things. One of the things about me, I am a very deep thinker. I don't think from A to B and that's it. I sit down and I think from A all the way to Z to
Right.
see what, in the middle, what's going to happen, the different situation that may arise in the middle and how we can solve it. Because as I said, the main thing is to make sure that folks have a successful reentry, and what that look like for each person, because each person have individual need. There's not a one size fits solution for everyone. They may come in home, they have reintegration you know problems. They may have problems with their children. They may come in home into a relationship that is volatile. So we want
Right.
to make sure that we assess each individual that come into our organization to make sure we provide the best services for that person.
But from what I saw, there's there's not enough. Like when I got out of the Navy, you had to go take classes. You take classes and they give you a list of everything. Before I retired, they had a class. They came through and you take all your notes before you retire. This is what you should do. This is how you should do it. This is what you should set yourself up with, and so forth. There's not enough reentry classes for inmates in that environment, especially
Yeah.
the camp, because y'all have more time on your hands to
Hmm.
put things together,
Right.
but there's, I seen when probation comes in, all they do is telling you what not to do. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. We'll bring you back in. That's I don't think that works.
No, it doesn't. And here's the thing, Mr. Kennel, and you made a very important you said something that was important, I should say, is that the military that it had structure, right? It had a
Right.
purpose, right? And unfortunately, you hear oftentimes that the prison system is broken. I don't believe that it's broken. I believe that it's doing exactly what it's designed for.
Yes.
And I say this only because I take a holistic approach to it, and I said, okay, You have folks that's coming in. It's designed for people to come in, but they never thought about that. What's going to happen when people leave prison, right? That was never thought of. That was never even an
No, it wasn't.
afterthought,
Like
right?
slavery. Like
Right, that was
slavery.
not an afterthought. So, and that's why
Yeah.
so many people fail when they get back home because there's nothing. It's almost like you're taking a fish out of water, and then what do? You just throw them out on dry land, and what happened? They're gonna die, right?
Right.
So, if it was designed in a way that, okay, yes, people's gonna go in, but what happened when someone comes home? You have to have something in place for them when they come home. Because if you
Right.
don't have anything in place, how is it going to work? It's not going to work. So that's why it's always, they said it's a revolving door. I said it's recycling and
Right.
recycle
It
us
is.
right back into prison.
But that's like, even if some of the people, and I would hear about them getting ready to go home, I say, so come sit down with me. And I would ask them questions, what they're gonna do, what's their plans, do they have a game plan? If they didn't have no game plan, we sat there and put one together because it was important. It was like you're throwing them out in the middle of the street and they don't know the address that they're going to. So I've seen it. I've worked halfway house. I've worked drug rehab. I've worked in those kind of programs. So I knew. I just played kind of dumb and Danbury because everybody, thought that they were smarter than me. So I worked those programs before I even started working there. So I knew what they were facing, but I would let certain people in on what I knew and what I didn't know.
Right.
But it was crazy because I even look at that like when they freed the slaves and they said, okay, you're free now. And the slaves, come go off the plantation and wonder where they're going.
Where they going?
Yeah,
Right.
where are you going?
Right.
They
Yes.
just go
Right.
north.
And someone says, well, slavery ended. I said, I don't believe that slavery ended. I just believe that it's rebranded and it's rebranded into incarceration. And yes, you have people captive, held them captive in prison. And then what happens? Now, I believe, yes, people commit crime, they should be punished. But I
Right,
also believe punishment is supposed to be backwards, not forwards. So when you do your time, you should not continue to be punished.
right,
And when you come home and you face all these barriers, they call them lifetime imprisonment, and really is, but it's also lifetime punishment as well, because you're constantly being punished for a mistake that you did, constantly being punished when you already did your time. So when is enough enough?
right,
Right? When is
right,
enough enough? And
right,
even if you look at, you use the analogy of a child, and you put that child on punishment because that child did something wrong, that punishment had an expiration time, right? It does
right,
not continue. But it's almost like, incarceration and coming home, it does not have an expiration date. It's just continue. It's a perpetual thing, and this carries over in your life, and it damages so many people, and cause so many people to go back into prison because they just can't function.
right. And you try to end it and they say, oh, we want to end recidivism and no, you don't.
No,
If you wipe their record, they won't wipe their record. You know,
no, they don't. They really don't. And even though, and people are smart, and that's the thing, people are smart. Because even you have these new laws now. I know it's in New York. I'm not quite sure if it's in Connecticut, that you don't have to check the box. In the application, can't ask you certain questions about your crime or if you have been incarcerated. And people, okay, they fine, they're complying with that, okay, but they know what they're doing, because all you have to do is go and Google someone, right?
right,
And
right,
you find that. So, and you have Google also that is supportive of people that's coming, folks that's coming out of prison. So if you're supportive, that's one of the things that they need to do also. It's clean up their system. Give people, if a second chance. If you really want to give a person a second chance, do that.
right,
Just like how certain things that is after 7 years or even 10 years. Come on, give people a second chance. But if you don't, what's going to happen is that they're going to fail.
right. And one thing I always did, people, my co-workers or whatever, they used to look up people's crimes and stuff. I didn't do that. I didn't, there was a couple that I had questions, but I didn't get into that. I judged you, well, I based everything on here and now when I
Mhm.
met you. I met
Mhm.
you, if you come to work for me, this is who you are, this is what you do. I wasn't there looking for what your crime was. That wasn't my thing. I just wasn't interested in it.
You
Unless
were one
it
of
was
those
somebody
exceptional
that,
ones, I will say. You were
huh?
very exceptional. You were one of those exceptional ones.
I just, you know
Yes.
what? The, 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 uh, the TV young lady,
Mm-hmm.
she irritated me. What was her name?
Teresa.
Yeah.
Uh,
She
Teresa Jedias.
irritated me.
Yeah.
you know, and and, and one of the other young ladies used to get the special trays. She irritated me. There was a couple of them, but I didn't take it personal. I
Right.
said, okay, I can show you better than I can tell you,
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna send some information to you. Um, and I need some contact information from you so people know how to get a hold of your organization and you. Um, because this is what it's about. It's about you. I thank you for coming in and coming on the show. This is by the people, for the people, about the people, and you are my people.
Well, I thank
And
you, and I
you
thank you
you
for the
got my
great
support.
work.
If you ever need me to talk to anybody, I'm here. I ain't
Oh,
going
that's
nowhere.
awesome. Thank you. And thank you for, the great work that you're doing. We need to, put out there the officers that does make a difference or did make a difference in our
Right,
lives. We want to highlight them. We don't
right,
want to keep them underneath the radar because it's so rare. It
right,
really is rare. But like you said, the camp was such a just a different, it's just
right.
different
You right.
altogether. The camp was just, oh my God. I think that everyone that went to Danbury can say that they was actually blessed to be there,
Right.
because the
Well, I
staff
gotta
of
wrap it up. Thank you again. I'm gonna hit you up a little bit later. I'll talk to you a little bit later. I'm gonna give you a call. Thank you for coming on the show. Greatly appreciate it. And that was an excellent conversation.
Thank you, and thank you again for having me. I appreciate it.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay.